Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Piofiore 1926. Continuing Orlok's tragic end, which seems to be like longer than his entire fucking regular route. I mean, okay, that's like a huge exaggeration, but I'm just saying, I feel like this thing is long. I'm not 100% sure we'll be able to finish it in this part. I figured it would only take 2 parts, kind of like the way Gills did, but yet we're still only in chapter 5. And then we have all of chapter 6, and I don't know, Orlok's original chapter 6 was pretty long. And these to me were the same length of chapters roughly when we did Gills. They were basically the same, and this one's just, I don't know, unless they made Orlok's like the chapter 6 is really short, but chapter 5 is really long. It's longer than the first 5 chapters and the normal ending. This chapter is so much longer than all of them. It's fucking weird. I don't know why you had to put the meat of it in the bad ending. It's concerning. But anyway, we'll see how far we get. So we'll see what happens. So we just killed Leo, by the way, in case you needed a flashback to that. So that's fun. Good times. Again, I kind of expected it, and I'm not thrilled about it, but it's not the canon ending. So I'd be more upset if it was in the good ending that Leo died, So we walked past the unconscious soldiers on the floor and departed the hideout. We stopped in one of the alleys out of the public eye. Orlok lent me his coat to cover my clothes, which were stained with Leo's blood. After walking for a long time, we finally returned to the Visconti Manor under cover of darkness. Probably could have done that in the last part, just that little bit, but whatever. By the time we arrived, Orlok had returned to his usual calm self. It unsettled me now more than ever. It was noisy as we entered, and we saw Oliver reprimanding Gil harshly. Well, at least we have this! How many times have I told you? What possible need do we have for all these weapons? I told you this is how it was gonna go. Well, I'm gonna use them all and... Hey, what happened? And don't you change the subject, Gil... What? Why are you bleeding? I hardly explained myself, seeing the shock and concern on their faces. I'm gonna... Oh my god, look over there! Oliver's like, don't you dare try to change the subject! What the fuck happened? No, I haven't been hurt. This isn't my blood, it's... Orlok cut in before I could say it was Leo's. She should get changed first. Okay, yeah. Yeah, good point. Sorry about that. I'll be in the lounge, so tell me what happened later. Please don't leave. Oliver's not going to forget that he was yelling at me. Orlok led me to my room, where I took a quick bath to wash up and change into new clothes. Soon after that, we went to the lounge and explained to Gil and Oliver what had happened. I see. It was Leo. See, even Gil's like, Aww. Gil closed his eyes for a moment, and when he opened them again, he was looking at Orlok. You didn't do anything wrong, Orlok. If you hadn't killed him, he would have killed her. So don't let it bother you too much. There's one thing that doesn't make sense. Leo was working alone before, right? And this time he had backup with him. Which means the Falzone family is moving together as an organization. If so, you'll not be able to walk freely around this town anymore. Even with their diminished numbers, it's still very risky. Just then... Emilio! Just then, Emilio. I feel like... Suddenly, Emilio. Just then, Emilio is basically like this entire fucking game. In a nutshell. If I could sum up Piofiore 1926 in one brief sentence, it would be, just then, Emilio! Or, suddenly, Emilio! Pick whichever one you prefer. That's basically the gist of this. I'm not complaining, it's fucking funny. Raul Ghirlandaio is planning to lead the family in seeking vengeance against Orlok. I had no idea how long he was standing there. He appeared in the lounge as if out of thin air. Yeah, basically. Emilio... You sure? As far as I can tell, Raul's got his eyes on a different prize. When I met him, I didn't see a single shred of remorse about Dante and Nicola's deaths. I recalled our own first meeting with Raul. Worry not. I bear no grudges against you. I trust you had your own reasons for doing so. Besides, the Mafia's a dying breed. They'd have met their end one way or the other. I feel like his voice changes every single time, but like, whatever, it's fine. I still didn't know exactly why he introduced himself to us, but his cavalier attitude about the whole thing seemed to suggest that he didn't care. Not to mention, Emilio usually isn't this direct about things. It was unusual of Emilio to be so blunt about others' intentions. Knowing him, he must have had his reasons for saying so. In any case, we must discuss strategy regarding the near future. You killed one of their soldiers, albeit in defense. The situation is a dire one. Indeed, and now it's rather late. Perhaps we can continue tomorrow. You should go to bed. Right. Tomorrow. Okay. Just as we turned to head back to our rooms, suddenly, not Emilio this time. Oh, nope, suddenly Emilio. Still, suddenly Emilio. Orlok. Emilio stopped him before we left. Emilio? Go ahead and get some rest. I have some private matters to discuss with him. He smiled kindly at me, and I could do nothing else but nod. I understand. Oh, okay. Meanwhile story. Okay. I changed into my nightgown and climbed into bed. I couldn't settle down at all. I couldn't click, so. That's usually what happens. Confirm. And that's the story, confirm. Like, yeah, I didn't know. I'm like, what's going to happen, though? I want to know what's going on. Would you do anything for her? Anything to protect the Key Maiden? Huh? I was surprised by his question. I wish to know where your priorities lie at this moment. Well, I thought about how to respond. To seek the answer of a disciple, or for me as a person. Must have realized what I was thinking. He smiled and clarified the question himself. I wish to know what you yourself are thinking, Orlok. That was the case. The answer was simple. My first priority is to protect space, of course. I see. And that's all I needed to know. Thank you, Orlok. Good night. Good night. Emilio asked me that question. I left the lounge still wondering about it. Orlok spoke to me the truth in his heart. It would likely not be difficult for him to achieve. But he may not be able to forgive himself. If she is his priority, he will continue to deny himself the peace he seeks. I've not felt this feeling in a long time. The desire for something. The feeling of being tempted. Emilio! Is it Oliver? I get it. So much so that it seemed worth sacrificing all else. I mean, we kind of already, like, the little inner thoughts, but then it's kind of like, that, Emilio sacrifices himself. In the good ending. I changed into my nightgown and climbed into bed, but I couldn't settle down at all. The night dragged on as I lay awake in silence. The following day, there were more Visconti soldiers in the lounge than usual. Doesn't seem like the Falzone's made any moves yet. Also doesn't seem like they're looking for anyone. That's about it from us, boss. Sounded like Gil had given them orders to keep an eye on the Falzone family. After their report, the men took their leave. Gil paused to think a while, then looked at us. If you got places to go today, you best avoid Felce for the time being. Yes, well, the district is so tightly controlled that it's unlikely we would find Johann's base there. It would be very difficult for him to rent in Felce without disclosing his identity. So today Before you two go, I wish to talk to you about something important. Do you mind? Just like yesterday. Just like always. Oh. I don't know why I want to make a fucking shirt that says just like always, Emilio. Or literally just Emilio with an exclamation point. Because then like people would be like, because it could tie into A Night at the Roxbury or this, and like either way you can't go wrong. Like that's it. I need to make them a Cricut and we need to just sell them. So everybody has an Emilio shirt. You just get like a little, just a tiny little Emilio on like the chest pocket, like where the, you don't have a pocket on it, like if you, but like, just a little Emilio with an exclamation. Suddenly, Emilio. He once again appeared out of thin air. Emilio looked straight at Orlok and gave him a stern warning. If you wish to protect Spacey, you will need to kill again. Yeah, Raoul. Oh, good. Chapter 6. Okay, it's about fucking time. Chapter 5 just seemed to like fucking... Erlotion? Look, I'm just trying to guess here. I don't read German. Hi, who would... I could hardly squeeze out the words. Emilio quietly answered the question I couldn't ask. It's so funny because, like, that's where they decided to split it into a whole new chapter. Or they could have done it, like, after we fell asleep and then started, like, the next morning, blah, blah, as chapter 6. It's just really weird where they chose to break that. I guess it was for the drama, like, dun, 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 Raul Ghirlandaio. The reason is that he's linked to the Falzone bloodline. Bill frowned at Emilio's answer. Everyone in the Falzone's from the same bloodline. What you're saying is true, we'd have to kill them all. That will not be necessary. He's likely the last one eligible to carry on their duty. Eligible? As one of the Keepers of the Grave, I believe I've spoken to you two about this before. When I say Keepers of the Grave, I'm referring to the current Falzone family. The Keepers of the Grave certainly sounded familiar, but my confusion only grew. Emilio kept his gaze fixed on me. Circumstances have changed greatly. As long as he's alive, you'll always be in danger. When Orlok inquired, Emilio gave a thoughtful look, appearing to talk to himself. Emilio, I feel like now's the time to not just be shady about shit and just spill it. I had always believed that Raoul was ineligible. He is but a distant relative, at least according to their family tree. I had not told the church of my opinion on the matter. With the recent change of power, the timing was less than opportune. I planned to tell His Holiness after things had settled, that all those eligible had passed away. The Falzone family perished before they could fulfill their ultimate mission. Mate with me? Gross. Gil's over there like, Gil's face is how my soul feels. Their ultimate mission, he's like, oh, like that sounds really inappropriate. Listen, when I choose Dante or Nicol, that's one thing, but like, Gil's got that face of like, yeah, this is fucking the way you word that, Emilio. Even those of us with some knowledge on the subject were bewildered, but Gil was hearing it all now for the first time. He's like, the fuck? I could see his eyebrow raised, but he was still I could see his eyebrow was raised, but he still listened intently to Emilio's story. No, his face looks like pained. Like, if the Keepers of the Grave cease to exist, the Key Maiden cannot be used for political purposes. Political purposes. A growing movement within the church seeks to use the relic to further their agenda. For that, her blood and the Falzones are indispensable. I sent you here so that you'd be safe from treachery, at least until I could reveal to you the truth of the dangers. But if Raoul is indeed eligible, the Key Maiden will never be free from their pursuit. Even if the church abandons Bralone, so long as they do not abandon the Falzone, Raoul will continue to aid them in her capture. Their alliance will lead to unfortunate results. She will likely face coercion, captivity, or both. You forgot the rape part. That can't be. I won't let that happen. Can you really endure an onslaught from both sides? Sorry. Your enemies will not be only the Falzone, but the other disciples as well. That's why you must kill Raoul before the worst fate befalls her. So then I kind of wonder if in this tragic ending, it's not going to be the worst fate befalling me. It's going to be the fact that Orlok has to kill Raoul and then can't handle the fact that he did it. God. I mean, if you look at it, either way, like, him making that choice and then not being able to handle the fact that he had to kill Raoul is very tragic, because it's kind of like our relationship's gonna fall apart, because you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna feel so guilty that he killed someone to protect you, but he can't handle the fact that he did that, and it just makes you feel guilty, and then, you know what I mean? Like, that's just horrible and tragic in its own. But also the worst fate befalling us, which is what we saw happening in the best ending before he came in and saved us, and like, oh, Orlok dies, and then we're the... You know what I mean? Or like kind of what happened in Orlok's tragic end, one of his bad endings in the original one, where it was Dante and Orlok was chained up and tortured in the basement. If they do a repeat of that, like, that's also a very tragic fucking end. But now I'm thinking they won't do that, because that's exactly the way one of the endings went in the original one, and, you know. But then again, it's kind of like, either way, it's tragic for us. I think it's a little more tragic for us if Raoul gets his hands on us. But there's also tragedy for both of us if Orlok can't live with what he did. And then, like, our whole romance and everything falls apart, and then our guilt for watching him hurt, and then, you know, all of that. Like, I don't know. There's kind of, like, beautiful tragedy in both of those ways. So let's see which way it goes. Yes. Hey, wait a sec. Don't you think that's a little too hasty? Shh, Gil, you don't know what you're talking about. All this over a story where the Falzone might possibly chase after the Key Maiden until the end of time over some ancient relic? Wait, Emilio, could you be like, it's the body of Jesus? Isn't it fucking Jesus? Wasn't it Jesus? Anyway. I don't understand why you believe things will happen the way you think they will. There are many things that elude human understanding, and this is something that concerns their futures. Emilio's like, I've done this for like 600 fucking years, Gilbert! Shut up and listen to the kid! Like, you do not have much time left, but you can still make a decision. My mind was swirling with everything that Emilio had told us. Yeah, and yet he's hiding still so much shit. One thing remained clear in my mind, a dark thought that saddened me. So because of me, Orlok will be forced to take another life? Emilio, always trusted what you say to be true. I do want to protect her, but I don't have an answer for you right now. Orlok struggled to hold on to his own beliefs, even in the midst of this distressing news. I don't want to keep taking orders to kill again and again. Orlok. I was reminded of the time Orlok and I grew closer last year. Of course, I will not force you to abide. It's up to you to decide for yourself. That's a bit unfair, isn't it? Once they get thrown out of the frying pan, Orlok won't have a choice but to protect her, right? That's not his only choice. Orlok's free will is what will guide his decision. Though Emilio responded with lightness, there seemed to be only one way to choose. If Orlok was determined to protect me, it was clear what decision he would make in order to ensure my safety. Feels like I can kill him. Doesn't that count? Nobody else could. Did you want me to do it? Because that guy's a prick. And I'm just saying, Gil would do it because we'll just whisper in his ear, in another time, he abused Oliver. I'll fucking kill him. See? I'm just saying. Would she really be safe if I were to kill Raoul? It was just as we thought. Emilio nodded, looking back at Orlok with certainty. I swear. Understood. Oh god, I clicked later. Not Emilio. Orlok returned to his room, saying that he wanted some time to himself. I stopped him to ask if he wanted to talk about it together, just the two of us. Orlok smiled weakly and shook his head in response. Rather than return to the lounge without him, I decided to return to my room as well. Emilio's words raced through my mind. Despite Emilio's warnings, there has to be another way besides killing Raoul. This has to be. I didn't want Orlok to kill anymore. I sat quietly, trying to piece together the fragments of what little information I knew. Or then Orlok's being unwilling to kill Raoul leads to him being captured and all of that, and then us being tortured, and then, like, you know what I mean? And then he dies thinking that this is what, you know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of ways. Either kind of route this goes down, Orlok either tortured forever or dies, and then we're assaulted by Raoul. That kind of thing is tragic in so many ways. And then him killing Raoul, but then feeling the guilt about it forever is tragic in its own, you know what I mean? So either one of those branches of this, it's going one of those ways, and it's going to be tragic AF, but I feel like that's what's going to happen as opposed to, like, Gil's bad ending where we just forgot him. That was tragic, but I feel like Orlok's is going to be worse, you know? I thought back on our escape from Berlone, though it felt as though neither of us could rest while we were on the run. Preview. You always go to the meanwhile stories. I know how to infiltrate the building. Done it many times before. I was preparing for the next step, to put an end to the danger before it could surface. My heart ached as I recalled the image of her face as she listened to Emilio. I knew I didn't want to kill again, but she's more precious to me than life itself. I said I wouldn't take another life, but I took Leo's. He only sought revenge because I had taken the lives of those precious to him. I couldn't blame Leo for wanting to do the same to me. Still, I couldn't allow him to do that. No choice but to stop him. It's the same with Raoul. To protect the person most important to me, I needed to kill anyone who would harm her. I no longer had any doubts. As the color of the sky changed with the setting sun, it radiated a warm glow that I knew would be followed by darkness. It's dinner time, yet Orlok still hadn't come out of his room, 'cause he ain't there. I encouraged Gil and the others to get started while I went to Orlok's room to get him. Hearing no answer, I began to worry. I slowly pressed down on the handle to open the door. Orlok? I looked inside, but he was nowhere to be found. Can't be. He must be preparing even now. You know how careful he can be. Just as my heart began to race, I heard Emilio's calm voice behind me. You had to know it was suddenly Emilio! This was the choice he made. For you. Don't say that! Emilio sounded so detached from the situation that it made me feel even more panicked. Was it such a wrong thing to say? I agree with the choice that Orlok made. If you're constantly being pursued by enemies, it'll be difficult for Orlok to protect you and himself. Up until now, I had always believed in what Emilio had to say, trusting his vague messages. But this time, I didn't want to believe. I didn't return for dinner, instead choosing to wait in Orlok's darkened room alone. It was already past midnight, but Orlok hadn't yet returned. Emilio said he was only preparing. I wonder if they had discovered him hiding outside the Falzone family manor. I wondered if they had heard him. I tried to shake the intrusive thoughts from my mind, praying that he'd come back soon. Minutes passed, maybe hours. Before I knew it, the Visconti manor had quieted. Everyone had gone to sleep. Just then, not Emilio, Orlok. Space? I immediately jumped up and ran toward him, grateful that he had returned safely. He's, You're not hurt, are you? I did my best to put on a smile, seeing Orlok stammer in surprise. I'm okay. I didn't know you were waiting for me. Sorry for being late. Slap him. Just kidding. It's all right. Just glad you're safe. You must be tired. Why don't you have a bath? I urged Orlok toward the bathroom, avoiding the topic of why he went out to begin with. Orlok smiled and nodded with a sigh of relief that I wasn't pressing him. After his bath, I gently dried Orlok's hair with a soft towel. It's like when we lived at the church. I found my eyes burned with tears, but before I could dry them, they slid down my cheeks. Space. Perhaps noticing a change in my breathing, Orlok turned around to look at me. Sorry, it's nothing. I did my best to smile again, but my voice trembled despite myself. Something's wrong. I'm crying. He brought his fingers to my cheeks and gently wiped away my tears. I couldn't help but remember the days we used to live in peace without any worries. Why does Orlok have to go through all this? My heart was wrung with pain just remembering that he lost his right arm and still had to carry the weight of his burdens even now. My sense of guilt was climbing by the minute, knowing that those burdens were because of me. So sorry. Regret, remorse, suffering. I knew my words didn't mean much, but my apology escaped before I could stop it. Why are you apologizing? You have to dirty your hands again because of me. Just because I'm this key maiden. If I weren't, then you don't have to be. Orlok stopped me before I could finish and spoke to me in a firm voice. No, not your fault. It makes me happy to know I can protect you, Space. His eyes were filled with emotion. He didn't look away from me. I could see that he was trying to put his feelings into words. The reason I took Dante's life was so we could live together in peace. If I chose not to protect you now, his death and my sins would have been in vain. I promised to protect you with my life and everything that I have. So please, don't apologize. Orlok wrapped his arms around my back and hugged me tightly. Orlok. His words were so kind and warm that I could feel them sinking into my heart. I woke up and saw Orlok's peaceful, sleeping face beside me. That's right. I was waiting all night in Orlok's room. I must have fallen asleep almost as soon as he arrived. I peered closer at his beautiful face, feeling my heart beat faster. I'd be embarrassed if he saw me like this. I slowly climbed myself out of bed to return to my room before he awoke. Gil's walking down the hall. Doing a look of shame? Yeah. After getting dressed, I walked down to the corridor to the lounge. Gil and Oliver aren't here today either. I saw one of the Visconti members standing up from the sofa to leave. Excuse me, you know where Gil and Oliver went? Yeah, they've already gone out for work. I see. Thank you for letting me know. As he left, I walked through the archway toward the dining table and took a seat. One of the staff asked if I was ready for breakfast. I told them I would wait for Orlok. Just then, he arrived. Good morning. Did you sleep well? Yes, good morning. I slept very well. I tried my best to respond as I usually did. Before Orlok could take his seat... Who are you? What's... Hey, stop right there! An eruption of shouts echoed through the corridor just outside. Ah! Orlok blocked the archway, keeping his eyes fixed on the entry point into the lounge. It wasn't long before the intruder appeared. Oh, Johann. I was like, Raoul, I'm pretty sure the guys could have taken him. Hey, come for you, Orlok! Johann strode in, and the air became thick with the scent of blood. His dagger dripped by his side as it followed his footsteps toward us. Johann, why are you... Not how I expected, actually, this bad ending to end, with Johann killing Orlok. And then me getting turned over to the Felds. Yeah, I didn't see that. I kind of forgot about Johann, too, because, like, the game likes to make you forget about him, and then they kind of wrap his shit up. They're like, oh, yeah, by the way, Johann, and everything's fine. And so, yeah, I kind of forgot. Damn you! One of the soldiers rushed in, wielding a knife aimed at Johann. Stop! That was like the worst stop ever. Orlok rushed toward them, but it was already too late. Johann's blade mercilessly slashed through the soldier's throat. mercilessly slashed soldiers' throat. That's so many freaking S's. It was really... Brain couldn't handle that. Orlok froze, his body rigid. The brutality we witnessed was so horrific that I could hardly utter a scream. Hi! 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 Yeah! Can you hear the little bird? He's chirping them. I could utter a scream and then he starts chirping. He's trying to talk to you. My other Felix is jammed into my hoodie right now. He's talking to you. He's being nice, tiny bird. He's being a good boy today. He was such a fucking asshole the other day. Just like screaming, would not shut up. And then he has days like this where he's just super nice and cute. It's like, I don't fucking know what's wrong with this bird. Bird's goddamn mental anyway. I'm sorry, we'll be down soon, little bird. I know. That guy, Leo was it? Saw him bring the foul zone with him to fight you. Johan casually shook the blood off his dagger, looking it over and smiling. He raised the point of the dagger at me. You'll fight me seriously if I kill her, right? I didn't think this was how I'd... Okay, now you're being a dick, bird. But if you don't want to fight me, then I'll need to resort to other means. Is that what he was implying? Yeah. I figured, but I forgot. I won't let you. I will protect her. Orlok answered calmly and raised his weapon. Is this where we die? The way he moved was smooth, mechanical, almost lifeless, as though all his muscles solidified with resolve. Ah! Johan kicked off from the floor and quickly closed the distance, swinging his blade down. Orlok gave no indication of fear, to the point where I wondered why he didn't react. In the next moment, I saw Johan's face warp in surprise. It happened in an instant. No clanging of metal from previous battles, no struggle or fear. Orlok's dagger had already impaled Johan's chest. Jesus Christ. What the fuck, bird? Stop! Now you're being a dick! A single deadly blow. Like shit! Alright, well, I'd seen this before. Oh, we had to get a little yang shot in there. Just a little yang shot. Just a little, like, bloody yang. There you go. You had to get him in the tragic end. I don't think we've seen Nicola in this one, though. We got Dante flashback a couple times, and now we got Yang, so there you go. There's our pretty boys. The longer the battle, the more evident Orlok's limitations from his arm would become. He had made up his mind long ago. With no power left in his body, Johan crumpled to the floor, letting go of his dagger. Damn it! Johan reached his hand out with what little strength he had left. It grabbed the air before falling to the floor. Orlok looked down silently at Johan's body and said nothing. He was so calm. Much calmer than when he had killed Leo. Calmer than I had seen him in a long time. I'm sure he's hurting just like before. I wished more than anything that I could do something for him. I knew I couldn't. End. We're just sitting there. Gil and Oliver come home. What the fuck? Oliver's like, every time I leave this goddamn manor, there's either guns or dead bodies when I come back. Would you people stop it? Oliver, there's just proof you can never leave. Night fell over the manor. We explained what happened to Gil and Oliver when they returned late that night. Gil didn't reprimand us or question too much about the death of his men. Orlok seemed to feel too guilty to even meet Gil's eye. Gil spoke in a reassuring voice. Orlok, you don't need to apologize. I was the one who decided to have you two stay here. And what happened as a result... They died because of my call as their boss. I could tell Gil was suppressing his anger. But still the one at fault. Only I had killed Johan sooner. Because I was so determined not to take another life. And more died. It's all my fault. Orlok. What's done is done. Just get some rest already. I know Gilbert's really angry, but I don't know if he's necessarily angry at Orlok. You know what I mean? Because, like, it's more like I'm angry that fucking Johan came up in my shit, you know? I'm sure he's not too thrilled. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, if you had killed Johan, but, like, did he say that? It's not like when Orlok came back, oh, I had the chance to kill Johan, but I decided not to. Gil was like, that was fucking stupid. He's like, what you chose, man, you know? Orlok and I accepted Gil's suggestion and left the lounge. But we couldn't bring ourselves to part now. We took a seat on the bed beside each other, not saying anything. Although this one, it's like, Johan's like, yeah, I'm gonna dead. All right, well. Bird! Stop! You're being a dick! Oh, sure, now you're being nice. When Orlok spoke again, it was in a heavy voice that carried the pain of his agony. I think it would be best if we left the manor. I think so, too. They died because of my call as their boss. Even if Gil resigned the blame to himself, it still didn't change the fact that they died because we were here. Because of us. However it ended, our purpose in returning to Barlone had now been fulfilled. But we still couldn't leave yet with Raoul still out there. Then, we can find a hotel. I don't think we should stay at a hotel. Leo and Johan may be dead, but there could be others looking for vengeance. Somewhere we can stay at a view would be best. At a view? How about Strano? Orlok nodded quietly in response. We quickly packed our belongings and prepared to leave the Visconti Manor at midnight. All we left behind was a letter. A letter of apology and thanks to Gil. Gil's gonna find it and Oliver's gonna be like, God, these fucking children. Goddamn kids! Now we gotta go find them! God damn it, Gilbert, you'll go out and you'll find those children. They could be starving out there without their potatoes. Grandma Oliver. I can't help it, like, cause like I have red potatoes, like, so I've been like, I've had them for like a while, and I'm like, not like forever, but like I've had them long enough, and I'm like, oh yeah, I keep forgetting I have them. So like, Oliver talking about fucking potatoes, I've been like, well, I'm gonna make my potatoes every night, and every single time I make myself a potato, I'm like, Oliver. It just makes me giggle. We were lucky enough to slip out without notice, making our way to Strano together. Our destination was the hideout we used when we were hiding from the Barlone Mafia. We checked around it carefully, and it didn't appear that anyone was inside. The memory of Luca was strong as we opened the door, as if he were inside to greet us. We sat next to each other with a big blanket wrapped around our shoulders. Back then, and even now, Orlok remained by my side. I felt my anxiety beginning to calm. Where'd they get the blanket? Did they steal that from the Visconti? Because, like, we left with our belongings, but you didn't come with a blanket, and then you wrapped a blanket that was in this motherfucking place that's probably been here, like, stanky for a fucking year, and this mouse-infested shit. Like, that blanket is nasty. Don't fucking touch it. That fucking blanket has corona on it. Like, that blanket has smallpox. Like, that blanket is like, just don't touch it, okay? Just don't. Don't. It is like acid now. Like, there's just something so wrong. Like, stop it. Like, you are not that destitute. Just steal a blanket from fucking Gil. He'll forgive you. It'll be fine. We left him $1. Sure, those fucking fabulous sheets cost way more than that. But still, it's all we had, alright? Back then and even now, Orlok remained by my side. I felt my anxiety beginning to calm. I think I read that. I don't know if I didn't. There we go. I should have done this from the beginning. Instead of accepting Gil's kindness. It's too late now. Orlok mumbled to himself with his eyes on the floor, though they seemed to look past it. I think I finally realize it now. Realize what? Orlok turned to me, and his smile looked terribly sad. To lose something, it's too late. What do you mean? Nothing in particular. You should get some rest. We can do shifts like before. He avoided answering my question. I was still unnerved by what he said, but I only nodded and accepted his offer to rest. When I awoke, I looked around for Orlok and saw that he was gone. tell me he may have gone for Raoul, and he left you here alone? What the fuck? You're gonna get stabbed by some rando on speed. Orlok! A knot in my stomach tightened with distress. Look, I know that, like, most of the people in Strano are just, like, poor people trying their best to live in this hellscape that they live in, okay? But, like, we also know that there's a lot of motherfucking drugs going on here, too, because that's Yang being like, sell it to those fucks. Like, you know what I mean? Well, I mean, Yang's dead, but still. So, like, this is not the place to leave me alone. Like, Orlok, what the fuck? The place to leave me alone was in Gil's fucking manor where I was safe. Not safe here at Crag Alley. What the fuck? Like, Orlok, Jesus. I'm so useless. Yeah. I can only wait for Orlok's return while cursing myself for being a burden. Oh. A Meemaw story coming up. He knelt to the floor and spoke a prayer, hoping that he would be safe. Oh, it automatically happens. Oh, okay. Yeah, dispel. Automatic. Oh, Raoul! Oh, okay. Well, this might actually be the end. I just scrolled up, and I see bad tragic end, so there's no more choices or anything. Who's Stronzo? Oh, Stronzo. That useless goon's death meant nothing to me. I was never going to promote him to the top, no matter how well he did. Oh, poor Leo. How can you talk about him like this? He would have met his end shortly after he did what I wanted him to do. But he couldn't even succeed in that. If only he took down the target as his final act. What a worthless piece of scum. This hurts more! I mean, I didn't think Raoul was going to promote him, and you knew he was going to die, but I thought, like, maybe Raoul wasn't being such a fucking piece of shit. And now it's out in the open that I mean to kill Orlok. Killed Dante and Nicola. And that meant he could kill me more quickly, more easily. There's no chance I can expect mercy from a puppet of the church. What's worse is that I can't get in touch with the other one, even after he offered his help, Johann. I should return to Rome and... No, that wouldn't do. I first need to find the Key Maiden. She's mine, a precious piece that will secure the future of the Falzone family. Ugh, shit! I was supposed to shine as the new leader of the Falzone, but things had not gone my way. It was infuriating. Reached out to my glass, but remembered that I had thrown it to the floor earlier in my rage. I stood up to leave the office. Here's the thing. So if Orlok comes in here and kills Raoul, how is that like the tragic end, though? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't... I'm not 100% sure how this is gonna go. Yeah, see? Oh, straight up. Wow. He opened the door without caution, completely defenseless. See? Okay. Shock at my appearance, he did nothing at all. Yet he didn't die right away. I'm still not moving with conviction. He was on the floor now, covered in blood and crawling for his life. Well, actually, Orlok, I know he didn't die right away, but he kind of deserves to suffer a little. Just a little bit. Escape from me. I took a step closer to the man. One step, then another. I knew each footstep only heightened his fear, but I was only trying to delay the inevitable. Yeah, but I mean, it works. I took another step toward him. Please stop! I won't bother you two anymore! If it's about Leo, yes, he assembled the others all on his own. I've already told you, I have no grudge against you. The Key Maiden, the church told me to bring her to them, which is why I had to obey. Your excuses mean nothing to me. Your thoughts are worth even less. All that matters is you're a nuisance. Which is why I'm going to kill you. Please! Please, you must let me go! Before he could grovel any further, I sank my falsetto deep into his heart. I drew it back out just as quickly. Jesus, that's a lot of blood splatter. Thanks, Orlok. Finally, The threat of Raul Ghirlandaio was no more. I knelt to the floor and spoke a prayer, hoping that he would be safe. He would continue to kill for me. Everything end once Raul is dead. As long as the church was watching us, as long as Orlok was a disciple, as long as I was the key maiden, the same thing would happen again and again in the future. Not how I expected this one to go at the end, but what can we do to be free? Just as I mumbled to myself, "Oh, is this question mark guy? Simple. You both need to die." I quickly turned around at the sound of the mocking voice that answered me. Yep. There stood the young man who had called himself a priest of the church. Okay, so we get more about him in the fucking bad ending? You're... Forgive me for approaching you so suddenly. I simply wanted to meet you, the key maiden. What are you doing here? How is he gonna kill us? He ignored my question and continued. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, he's got the one eye like Orlok, like... Nothing will change while you're the key maiden. Well, what that means is, Orlok will keep taking lives in order to protect yours. In all honesty, I do believe he's the best disciple there ever was. A natural-born killer. Thank God for that. He'll be able to satisfy that innate desire as much as he wants under the guise of protecting you. What? Thought of it was too horrible. I quickly snapped back to my senses. How dare you make it sound as if Orlok enjoys killing? He was unfazed by my anger and continued to speak with ease. I must say, I can't help but pity Raul. He was never eligible, even if he did survive. He could never be a keeper of the grave, the least threatening of all your enemies. Huh? I love his little face. Look at his little smirk on his little face over there. I don't know why I love it. Stop it. You're supposed to be intimidating, and that face is adorable. What do you mean? Orlok? My eyes widened, seeing Orlok standing in the doorway. Welcome back, Orlok. To answer your question, I was the one who made Emilio think that Raul needed to die. He may fancy himself a reader of the stars, but in the end, he's still as vulnerable as ever to deception. Did not doubt me for a second. Had he only returned to his lovely watchtower, he would have been able to see through my murderous ploy. His lonely watchtower. Did I say that lonely or I said lovely? I think it's lonely watchtower anyway. But you... The young man chuckled with ridicule and contempt for every last one of us. Orlok stood stunned for a short while, then recovered enough to speak. It's so funny because like all the new characters are just shady fucking assholes. They're all horrible. But I kind of like them. I killed someone that didn't need to die. Oh, Orlok, that's not it. It was quite the spectacle. Listen, Orlok, I was the one who provoked Emilio, but who was it who gave you the order to kill him? He trampled on your desire to avoid murder in exchange for his own freedom. Freedom? What freedom? Why don't you ask him yourself? He's probably at some church now, praying to your god. And with that, the young man turned on his heel and left, and we still know nothing about him. We were left standing there in silence. Why did he come? Why did he say all that? We had more questions than answers now. There's no other choice. Orlok and I decided to head to the church in Arca to find Emilio. I can't believe that it didn't end and we're still going and we still have 2 CGs that we have to get. I'm like, holy fuck, I don't think we're getting it in this part. I don't think we're getting in the next 10 minutes. We walked through the sleepy town, so silent that I could hear my heartbeat the whole way. The door should have already been locked, but if what the priest said was true... Orlok and I quickly looked at each other. Quietly looked at each other. I just saw the Q-U and just ran with it. Slowly reached out to the door. The door creaked open. At the end of the church, near the altar, stood a familiar figure. There you are. What a relief things went well. Those were Emilio's first words upon seeing us at the entrance of the church. Oh, we came to ask you a few questions. Do you want Raoul dead? It couldn't have just been about her. There must have been another reason. Although it had been phrased as a question, Orlok's stern voice made it sound like a statement. Emilio's peaceful smile betrayed no truths. After a long silence, he finally spoke. I gave up long ago, on ever being free. Emilio was speaking to us, but it looked as though he saw something else beyond us. His eyes were looking far into the distance. Last year, after the incidents that occurred in this town, I was told to reprimand you and rectify your behavior moving forward. His Holiness was very unhappy that I did not. Of those eligible to break the seal, one after the other fell again and again. Their deaths gave life to new hope for me, the notion that my curse would finally end. Once the Keeper's bloodline had perished, I would be free. At least, that is what I believed. What curse are you talking about? I still retain memories of who I was before I was Emilio, and not just one or two, but every memory of my past before this life. My incarnations do not vary as a result of my actions. My soul is bound to the curse of the relic, the Keepers, and the Key Maiden. I can't believe we're finally getting the fucking backstory of fucking Emilio. Like, what actually, like, I mean, I think we kind of already knew, because he knew, like, remembering my past lives or whatever, because Henry said that. And the other one, and you're like, wait. But, like, so we kind of already had a vague idea, and you knew he wasn't fucking human, really, but, like, you know, still kind of human, but remembers everything. But still, like, Jesus, we're finally getting Emilio's backstory, man. I am born with every memory intact. I spend a long life serving the church, and then I die again. There was a time when I thought that I was blessed with the memories of eons past, but one day I realized I was born as a sacrifice to the relic, bound to fate with the Key Maiden and the Keepers. Over 1,000 years have passed since then. When Nicola was killed, I wondered to myself, what would happen to our curse, and the lives lost as a result, if the Falzone family were to perish once and for all? Listen carefully, Spacey. Oh, Key Maiden. Because at least the one Key Maiden dies and a new one's born, but we're not taking over her soul, you know what I mean? Why are you called the Key Maiden? You may remember that I said you were the key in breaking the seal to the relic. Memories of our encounter with Emilio at the ruins returned to mind. In this town lies a holy relic that the church has kept hidden, an inconvenient secret that must always be guarded and never abandoned. Yes, I remember. The Key Maiden is chosen by the stars, and the Keepers of the Grave are chosen by blood. An unbroken line spanning nearly 2,000 years. It was you who finally brought an end to it, Orlok. Emilio looked at Orlok as he spoke the words without any hint of condemnation or praise. I did what? With that, the lock was destroyed, and the seal could no longer be broken. As a result, my curse might finally come to an end as well. My heart raced. Finally, I'd be able to die and shed my memories at last. But one of the Falzone family branches. What was it again? Ah, yes. Gildo Francesca, was it? You may recall that he had another child. That is correct. Gildo had a son who was called Heaven before Nicola was born. Called to Heaven before Nicola was born, sorry. The Ghirlandaio and Francesca families were not close, that is, until a child was born. After the birth of a son, the Ghirlandaios often came to visit them. Raoul's mother took a particular liking toward the oldest Francesca son. It was a story I was able to confirm with the Falzone elders. The Ghirlandaios had their motivations. A male heir wields such importance that many will stop at nothing to do what others would not dare. Impossible. Do you truly believe such a thing could happen? Are you trying to convince me otherwise? Raoul's just the right age and bears a striking resemblance to Nicola, if I may say so myself. He does! Didn't I fucking say that? Didn't I fucking say that? Where it was like, what is this, like Nicola 2.0, and then it's like, oh, okay, they're somehow related. So now basically what Teo's trying to imply is that Raoul's like, Nicola had an older brother that died before Nicola was born. And, like, Raoul's mother was like, hey, baby, even though they're, like, fucking related, banged him, got pregnant, and then, like, this is, like, Nicola's cousin brother. Like, cousin nephew. It's kind of his nephew, I guess. Yeah, because it was his brother. Like, how old was his... I thought his brother was, like... I would have thought not that much older than him, but I guess that much older than him. Oh, wow. Wow! You must have some reason for telling me this story. I thought you might enjoy a bit of gossip. The idea that there's another who can fulfill the mission entrusted to the keepers of the grave. If it is revealed to be true, then your mission, or curse, will likely continue forever. Poor soul. Not forever. Not until Raoul, as long as he doesn't procreate. I couldn't believe it when I first heard it. However, my power is far from universal, and I cannot see all things. And that's why I determined Raoul should be eliminated. For my freedom, of course. But ultimately, for all of yours. As I looked at Emilio, I had mixed feelings about telling him what we had heard. He told us tonight that Raoul's death was meaningless. That it was all a ploy. A ploy? Emilio frowned when suddenly... Look out! I was pushed down onto the floor. I heard a low groan as I fell. I sat up and turned toward the sound. Oh. The other priest had stabbed Orlok in the left thigh with his knife. Orlok must have taken the hit instead of me. The priest pulled out his knife and a gush of blood spewed forth. Oh, okay. I was like, how are we... Is, like, Orlok gonna kill fucking Emilio? Because, like, Emilio was bamboozled like us. Orlok! And that wouldn't be tragic enough. Fine. Just stay away. Orlok found his own dagger and dragged himself away from his attacker. The priest's expression didn't change, except for the hint of a smile forming across his lips. The church became eerily silent. It's just, like, so funny because he's got such a little innocent baby face, but he's stabby. The stabby baby. The priest was the first to move. With unbelievable speed, he leapt within striking range of Orlok. I don't know. It seems like you're in charge of the disciples because you are one or used to be one. I mean, you know, it makes sense. Orlok swiftly parried the attack and countered with his own. The flurry that followed seized me in place. Everything's happening so fast. He seems even faster than Johann. Their blades struck again and again until finally they both pushed away from each other. Blood continued to pour down Orlok's leg. He took a deep breath to steady himself, then sprinted toward his opponent. You're mine. Too bad. The tip of the blade only grazed him as he moved to avoid it. It was as if he was waiting for Orlok to come. With a smile, he quickly grabbed Orlok's right arm to keep him close. Then he sent his dagger straight into Orlok's right thigh. My mouth opened to scream, but no sound came out. It's even worse than the first hit. As I panicked, wondering what to do, the priest made no further attempts to attack Orlok. He stood, watching him with a satisfied look. Doing? Will he... No, this is my chance to help Orlok! It's a poison. Even though I was confused by the sudden turn of events, I knew I had to act quickly. I rushed forward to help stop Orlok's bleeding. Orlok looked at me with shock, and his mouth moved soundlessly. Stop bleeding? It seemed to only be getting worse, so I tried harder to contain it when I suddenly felt a presence behind me. Teo, could it be that... I took a step toward the man he called Teo. Teo gazed at Emilio a moment before smirking wickedly. Because it's like, you know, it could be Teo, but I'm assuming it's Teo. That sounds more like an actual, you know what I mean? Like a name that I might have heard before. I thought I told you that it was only gossip. As they say, truth is stranger than fiction. It is easy to believe a story when similar events have taken place throughout history. Unfortunately, that's not the case here. Theo spoke his last words coldly. Death didn't need to happen. Are you stupid? I've said it 100 times already. You were only following misguided orders from Emilio. Not that it should matter to you. I mean, you've killed so many people that a few extra deaths shouldn't bother you. Your greatest contribution to the world has been murder. Your life serves no other purpose. Stop! I cried out, desperate to stop him. You've no right to talk to him like that. Who are you anyway? Why are you doing all this? Hurting Orlok and deceiving Emilio? What are you trying to accomplish? I suppose it was all to cause a bit of trouble. Trouble? Yes. Because I absolutely despise you. I think a lot of people hate Orlok. Poor fucking Orlok. I gotta be honest. Hale wasn't looking at either Orlok or Emilio, but... Oh, he's looking at me? Me? Oh, I thought you despised Orlok. You despise me? Why me? What did I do? What a stupid look. You really don't know anything, do you? Don't expect me to explain. Although, let me just say that you're the bane of my existence. After all, you took everything away from me, including my home. I did what now? How? What did I do? Your home? I was so confused, but it seemed to make him laugh even more. By the way, I was the one who goaded Raul Gerlandio into having the family take action, all for the purpose of killing Orlok. Johan was somewhat useful. He proved to be an adequate pawn on the chessboard. Then again, he was stupid beyond belief. I had no expectations that he would succeed in avenging his brother's death. You're horrible. What you did is unforgivable, but why do you hate me? Are we going to find that out in, another route? Because, oh? As if you have any right to forgive me. Grown up to be so arrogant. Well, say what you will. I look forward to seeing this church become your grave. The ground began to shake violently. I mean, maybe we will get the ending in this part because, there's no good place to end this, and we're over time, but... An earthquake? No. There was smoke billowing out from the stairs leading to the basement. Suffocating smell of gunpowder filled the air. The lights began to grow hazy as the smoke thickened, and bursts of flames erupted. All of us were surrounded by smoke and fire. Hale walked calmly toward Emilio, swiftly landing a blow to his stomach. Emilio went limp, and Teo lifted him easily onto his shoulder. Wait, what are you going to do with Emilio? Emilio! Emilio allowed the bloodline of the Keepers of the Grave to go extinct, so he'll need to pay for what he's done. Now that he's turned his back on his mission, spend the rest of his life repenting. The Church has a way of ensuring that those who defy God's will are punished accordingly. Well, I suggest you leave him be if you wish to live. You do not have the strength to save his life regardless. Never leave him here. Then suit yourself and die together. He spat out his last words with a smirk. With that, he turned around and walked away. I saw his figure disappear into the smoke. He must have been heading in the direction of the entrance, even though I couldn't see it. There was only one thing we could do. We need to run, Orlok! I quickly tried to bring him to his feet, but I collapsed to my knees under his weight. Sorry, just bear with me. I apologized to Orlok, who groaned with pain. I slowly dragged him toward the exit. But fire's everywhere now. The flames only grew stronger by the second. Everything around us was being consumed. A part of the ceiling came crashing down. I strained to open my eyes with the dust and burning smoke, saw that our path was blocked. Despair filled my heart. Suddenly, Henry? Because it's not Emilio. I felt Orlok grabbing my hand. Oh, God, I was going to say, who's going to save us? Because it's not Emilio this time. To run. Escape now. Fine. Leave me here. Fuck no. Not take it anyway. I've lost too much blood. I refused to look at the trail of blood that he had left when I dragged him down the aisle. Absolutely not! I won't leave you behind, Orlok! First, follow you. You're lying. I don't believe you! Please, listen to me. No! If I don't get you out of here, you're going to die, Orlok! That's right, you're going to... I can't let that happen. Die here, then that means... Look, Dante, Leo, Johan, and Raul. Everyone that I killed died for nothing. Oh, sure, guilt me into leaving you here. Great, and that... What the hell? But... Orlok... It's in too much to be forgiven, but... Just once. I want just one thing now. I want to know that I was able to save you. Just let my life have a greater meaning than murder. God damn, when you say it like that. I'm being selfish. I know that, but please... This isn't fair, Orlok. Tears spilled from my eyes, but I could hardly feel them with the flames around us. My eyes and skin burned with heat. You know that I can never say no to you. You're... Oh, I mean... Orlok chuckled weakly. Slowly, the strength of his grip weakened. But... I held my hand tighter so his wouldn't fall. The answer's still no. I can't let that happen. Not my fault that you had to sin. You fought Dante. I already decided back then that I would bear your sins. And... Oh! That's a horrible, beautiful CG! It's horrible because it's like we're dying and burning apocalypse frames, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful and terrible. You know how selfish I can be. Please. I won't let you go. No matter what you say. Please, Orlok. Don't leave me alone. Space. Please. The walls and pillars crumbled in chunks. The area was being swallowed in crimson flames. I decided to be with you forever. Remember, Orlok. I wrapped my arms around him, holding him tightly so that we would never be parted. Remember how you said that I was the greatest blessing you had ever been given? I feel the same way about you. I want us to experience the same things together, Orlok. I can't leave you behind now. I won't ever turn my back on you. Space. I smiled, happy to see the face of my love. I love you, Orlok. I love you too. Flames around us burned so brightly, getting harder and harder to see. I embraced Orlok even more tightly so that I could feel his presence next to me. I could feel his arms rising weakly, using the little strength he had left to embrace me too. Oh, I prayed from the bottom of my heart that our last moments could stretch on forever. Okay, well, I'm just gonna mute this because I'm not 100% sure if there's lyrics in this. Oh no, there is another question mark because there's Teo's name. Okay, so who the hell's other question mark? Yes, there are lyrics in this. I just wanted to turn it off because I don't want. So we're definitely going over in this part because there's no point in like, you know, ending and like being like, okay, next time we'll do the. It says 2 CGs, but I don't feel like there were 2 unless there's like, was there an? Oh, there was an after bit to the bad ending. Well, okay, so this part's obviously going to be long because there was really no good place in the middle of that last scene for us to stop. You know what I mean? And then there is a little bit of an after thing, and then he has one other short bad ending. So this part's just going to be long, as opposed to like me going back editing and then like stopping before we go into the church or stopping in the middle of that, doing a whole other ending, and then making this a separate part. You know what I mean? So I do wish you could skip the credits. I get like kind of why in a way, but we've already seen them once on his good ending. I don't. We're just wasting time sitting here through the credits. Like, it's nice when there's credit, like, to sit through them, but, like, at the same time, we can't play the music. And we're, like, it's gonna take a couple minutes to go through this, and it's like, we're already over time, so. I also just really hate being forced to go through credits. No button that you click gets you through them. I really hate being forced to go through credits. Like, if I want to sit there and chill with the credits, like, sometimes at the very end of the game, that's kind of where you want, like, yeah, like, translation, editing, English, localization. That's the name of... That's funny. Sorry. Anyway, I just, at the very end of a game, sometimes it's nice, like, yeah, go through the credits, but, like, not after every fucking route, and not when I'm recording, like, it's like, oh yeah, okay, like, just hurry it up, because that was just, like, a waste of 2 fucking minutes. Like, you know what I mean? That's awful to say that, but it kind of is. It's like, yeah, okay. Normally it lets me get to my last thought. I feel like the tragic bad ending could have been more tragic. You know, that wasn't as... I don't know. I've just... It was bad, but I feel like it could have been more fucking tragic. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Only 2 bodies had been found in the rubble of a church. Along with them was a charred rosary, and he didn't use it. Familiar M1911A1. 1911. You know, could have taken all the helping hands we offered you. You were so stubborn, wanted to take on all the burdens alone. Couldn't shake off the image of the 2 of them smiling at each other with joy. My heart was filled with regret. Gilbert. Yeah, I'm coming. I lay a bouquet of white lilies at their resting place and departed from the church. Gil being sad is probably the saddest part of that ending, and being like, God damn it, why didn't you just use the gun, Orlok? And actually, that does, because I kind of forgot about that, and he's like, you had a gun, you could have shot Teo and just been over with. But you didn't. And, like, that makes it more tragic, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're gonna load and do our other bad ending, and then we'll check out our CGs. Anyway, I responded, it's not Orlok's fault. It's not Orlok's fault. All of this was because of me. I wanted to explain to him that Orlok didn't want to kill them. But before I could... Space, look out! Ah! Orlok quickly raised his dagger to deflect the incoming bullet. I breathed a sigh of relief, but felt a sharp, burning pain in my stomach. Huh? My hand moved over my stomach and felt the wetness of my clothes. I looked down and saw the redness spreading slowly from under my hand. My knees buckled and I fell to the floor. My vision darkened from the unbearable pain. Orlok's anguished cries sounded so far away. I mean, that's why they're short bad ends, because they end really fucking fast. And that's all it. But, so, like, as far as, like, tragic ends go, where we just burn to death together. I mean, that sounds painful and awful, don't get me wrong. That's, like, god-awful, traumatizing. But as far as bad ends go, to me it didn't... Oh, I guess technically it meant 2 CGs in his bad end, because that one. Yeah, these are the only 2. You know. So as far as bad tragic ends go, just that, I'm like, that's kind of sad, but it's still kind of beautiful we died together. You know, that's all you can really ask for. But like, the happy fucking music, this is such a beautiful CG, even though it's traumatizing. Like, it's so sad and awful. You know what I mean? But like, if you think about it, like, we died together. But then it's when Gil comes up and he's like, you had a gun, and you're like, could have just shot Teo, and then we all could have walked out alone. Like, but the thing is you wonder, like, did Orlok think about that? This is the one we're going to end on, because it's so much cuter. Okay. Out of the new CGs. It's cute and happy, to go with the happy music here. Because, like, do you think, you wonder if he forgot? Because, like, we forgot. And Orlok's so used to use dagger for everything that, like, he wouldn't have thought, I got a gun on me. You know what I mean? He's not used to having one, even as a last resort. So I can understand where he was, like, not even thinking about that at all. But, yeah, as far as tragedy goes, like, I kind of feel like personally, if they had gone the route of Raoul kidnapped us and kept us like a fucking pet and whatever, that would have been far more tragic. But I kind of understand why they didn't do that, because in all honesty, that's exactly what happened in the first game with Dante. Like, so that would have just been redoing that whole... So even though that worked, and it would absolutely have worked here, it would have been like, wait, you just recycled the same fucking plot line in the bad ending. So this was a little bit better. Plus, now we're like, why the fuck does Teo hate us? He's definitely coming up in other ones. Because you know Yuan's coming back in Yang's route, which we're going to do next. So Teo's going to have to make an appearance in, like, Dante or Nicola's. You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's characters that overarch. You know? Like, Yuan's going to, obviously, has something to do with Yang. So you know he's going to be the big bad there. And then they all have their unique kind of characters. Like, Gilbert had Eugene. Probably not going to come up ever again because he's specific to Eugene. Johan's specific to Orlok. And honestly, as far as the new characters go, I want to see. It's interesting because, well, yeah, you have, I think his name is Rui, right? He worked with Yuan, so he is probably going to show up in Yang's route as well. But, like, and I wonder if Raoul's going to show up in either Dante or Nicola's. You know what I mean? Did Dante die in Nicola's route? I know he did in one of the bad endings, right? Because, like, that's why Nicola went crazy and would, like, keep us locked up. And then, like, that was that whole ending where he was like, nope, I keep you locked in a room. I buy you nice dresses and then I rip them off you when I, take you that night, you know? Like, listen, Nicola, this is fine, but don't rip my dresses. It's fine, I can undress myself, just please don't rip my pretty dresses. Like, keep me in prison and do whatever you want with me. Keep my dresses intact, alright? Anyway. So yeah, I mean, as far as tragic ends go, it wasn't that tragic, I don't think. I think Leo dying was tragic. It wasn't a happy ending, but I'm just saying, sometimes there's ones that you're like, no. This one we died together, and that sucks, but we got to be together. Okay? And for me personally, we get to die together. That's sad, but we're together in the afterlife. Me dying and them being sad without me is the next one. And it's like, okay, well, that sucks for you, but I'm dead and I don't have to deal with it. Me being alive and them being dead is just fuck that shit. I don't like that. Because in reality, I wouldn't want, if I was in love with someone, I wouldn't want them to die and leave me behind, because that would fucking hurt, okay? I would be like, I can die and leave you behind, and then I'm selfish like that, like, that's so fucking horrible, but I'm selfish like that. That'd be like, it's fine, I'll die, and I mean, I don't want to die, but like, if I die first, that's better for me, like, dying together is like the best outcome, but, in these, but anyway, yeah, so that was all. I mean, I've already kind of said my piece about Orlok's route. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't bad. I'm not, like, disappointed. It's not like I'm like, God, that was awful. But I do feel like it was kind of, like, all over the place, and it was a little, and, like, I don't know. I just felt like Gil's was a little better to me between the two of them so far. But Oliver really fucking shone through as the goddamn MVP in this motherfucking route. I mean, he was good in Guild, but he was just priceless in this. And thank God for fucking Oliver. I remember liking Oliver in the first one. I don't remember if I was so gung fucking ho for Oliver until now, but it's like this motherfucker. I mean, I have to be. I have an acrylic stand of the motherfucker staring at me right now. And I don't normally like, I mean, sometimes the side characters I'm like, woohoo, but not. But this, fucking love that man, okay? He stole my heart, alright? And thank God they didn't kill him, because I don't think I could have taken that even in a tragic end. Feel bad for Leo, but I expected it. Anyway, we will be doing Yang's route next, I believe. It's probably going to be a little bit because right now I'm trying to balance recording 2 games at the same time, and I don't normally do that. You know what I mean? I do one route in one game, one route in another game, but right now I'm doing both at the same time. Because, like, I'm still not back to my normal from fucking October. And then it's going to be Christmas, so it's going to be, like, fucking July before I'm back to, like, my normal, like, pace for myself to make sure everything is, like, you know. Because, like, right now I'm, like, on par. I'm ahead, but I'm going to get behind before Christmas. But it's, like, this might actually be January when this comes out. I'm not really sure when this is coming up. But, like, I'm trying to make sure that, like, for Christmas time, I'm not so motherfucking behind. So, I'm not really sure when this part goes up. I'm not sure how far in advance I am. But it's not going to be enough when I take, like, 2 weeks off around Christmas time, and then I'm not going to be able to do anything. So. And next week, I have a couple of days I can't record anything either, so I'm coming down to the fact where I only have, like, 10 days to get as much done so that I'm not, like, okay, I'm only a week ahead in January, so. But anyway, yeah, so I think the intent is to, even though the recommended order for the game is to do Nicola next, I think I'm gonna go with Otome Kitten's soft recommendation of doing Yang, and then this way Nicola and Dante are back to back. Even though Nicola would still be before Dante, I kind of think that what she's getting at is that it makes a little bit more sense. Nicola then roll right into Dante as opposed to Nicola, then Yang, then roll into Dante, you know. So we'll probably do Yang next. Unless I completely fucking forget and I just click the wrong thing in the guide. You know what, I'm just going to open the Yang guide right now, because there you go. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.